Well, good morning, friends, and welcome to my channel. I am Crystal, and this is Homemaking on the Homestead. And today, I'm going to share with you 7 tips and ideas that I have for simplifying Christmas. A couple videos back, I shared with you my thoughts on can we have a simpler Christmas. I wanted ideas. What do you do, or what are your thoughts? And you guys shared a lot, and I really appreciated that, as always. And I just, wanted to take some things. Some of these are things that I have done in the past when my children were younger, and some of these are just ideas I have moving forward. Just to be able to create a Christmas that doesn't seem to be as heavy or as a burden to some people like it might, or just to kind of just settle down a lot of the chaos in our own lives, because the messages we get out there, whether it's from advertising or stores we walk into or whatever, it's so big, and it has grown so much and gotten so commercialized. So what are some ways that we in our own lives and in our own homes can simplify this holiday? I want to say that first, I'm not an expert at simplifying the holiday. I don't have it all together. I have been all over the place when it comes to the holidays, from being super busy and doing lots of things and wearing myself out and trying to meet everybody's expectations, and then scaling down from that, and trying to come up with things over the years that are more reasonable for my life, for myself, and whatnot. So I'm going to be sharing some of that. But also, I still want to move forward trying to figure out how do we simplify the holidays. So this is my list. Number 1, reevaluate expectations. I think it's so important that to think about the expectations that we are feeling at this time of the year. Are they your own expectations? Do you feel that things need to be a certain way, and this is putting on a lot of pressure on you, or making the holidays not as enjoyable as maybe they might be? Are they your children's expectations? I think it's good to know that as parents, we will create those expectations for our children. If each year we create the more, bigger, and better type of mentality, then that is what our children are going to expect every year. And so sometimes, even if children are older, maybe they need to just be brought in and say, hey, this year Christmas is going to look different. We're going to do this or that, or we're not going to do these things. What kind of expectations do your children, if they're still at home, have, and what can you do to change that right now? The harder one is your extended family's expectations of you on this time of year. I have dealt with that in the past, and it's very difficult because you may have budgets that they don't have. Their expectations may not be reasonable. I had a friend years ago, and her husband had 5 siblings, and the expectation for them was that each of them needed to buy the other siblings and their spouses an individual gift. And we're not talking, simple gifts. We're talking, crock pots and coffee makers and whatever. They were bigger gifts. That is 10 people. And then you add on to that the fact that they themselves had 6 children. And that is a lot of expectation for the time of year. That did not work with their budget. And she had to let them know that that wasn't going to be possible. And it made for a lot of difficult family times. So, I think make sure that, number 1, as parents, we're not putting on expectations on our children that are unreasonable, especially if they cannot afford it, or they just have lives that are busy, and that they need to know that the expectation you have on them is not that high. Some of the things that I have done to basically bring down those expectations, or not put those expectations on my kids, is number 1, we always would draw names when all of my kids lived locally. Right now, I only have one daughter that lives locally. at the current moment, I have 2 sons that are in the same state, but they don't live locally. And the other 5 children live in other states. So we don't get together as often. We usually do it in the summer due to traveling conditions. And so we don't get together as like we used to. But when everybody was around and closer and came to the house for Christmas Eve, I always did our Christmas on Christmas Eve, my kids would draw names. When we got together on Thanksgiving, everybody would draw names, and we also set a budget, a limit for that. So they were simple gifts. They were not extravagant gifts, and that was always a lot of fun, and that helped. That meant each child only had to buy one gift for their sibling on the list. The other thing that I have done over time also is to emphasize that really children are the ones that enjoy the opening of the gifts more than anybody else. So if you're going to spend money on someone and it wasn't a requirement for my kids, then focus it on the children. Which would be my grandchildren. And so that would certainly ease the burden a lot on several of my family members. Number 2 is making memories over more and more stuff, over more and more gifts. I think that when I look back on holidays past, the things I remember are the memories of the time we spent together. So focus on the making of the memories more than the buying of the gifts. I really think that most of us have everything that we actually need, and so going out and having to do that, purchase the gifts and things for people that don't necessarily have needs either, there could be other ways to do that. Think of the simple things that you can enjoy during the season. Cups of hot cocoa, lighting the candles, the tree, the Christmas music playing, things that are going to be simple. Maybe baking, if you have things that you traditionally like to bake on the holidays. Just focus over doing those things together with your family or just in your home to enjoy this season. One of the things that was a traditional memory-making thing for my children, and they even still talk about it today, is I had a group of Christmas movies. They were all VHS tapes at that time, and I would put those away and only bring them out at during the Christmas season. Typically, I actually brought them out on Thanksgiving evening. After our dinner was done, then I would bring out the Christmas movies. And their very favorite Christmas movie was White Christmas, the original Bing Crosby White Christmas. I personally love old movies. I always have, and so I would tend to play a lot of old movies for my children. So White Christmas was always the favorite way to bring in the holidays. And then throughout the rest of the month, when we had movie times together, we would pull out more of those Christmas movies and watch them. It's a simple thing, but made a whole lot of great memories. Number 3, when you do get together with your family, simplify the process, simplify the meals. Honestly, sometimes there is really nothing better than sitting down together as a family, enjoying each other, and having a lovely dinner. Maybe it's a pot of soup and maybe some homemade bread. It doesn't have to be fancy, because what is remembered is the conversations, the time together, the laughing, and just being together for the season. Number 4, determine what is causing your stress during the holiday and look at it and ask yourself, can it be simplified or can it be eliminated? If it is, similar to my last one, if it is a big family fancy Christmas dinner that you typically do, can you tone that down? One lady was telling me in the comments on the last video about the fact that every year is a very stressful Christmas dinner to put on for a lot of people. And she said in the end, we would probably all enjoy takeout pizza just as much. That's my point, is like determine what you can do and what can be simplified. For me, my big dinner was always Thanksgiving. For Christmas, I had these pretty traditional. I would always make lasagna because it was a family favorite. I would always bake a ham and have a big crock pot full of meatballs in that traditional grape jelly chili sauce recipe. And then the side dishes were usually brought by my kids. And that was what we did every year. And that was not difficult to put together, and what I ended up being able to do is feed 25 or more people with that, and we all had a great time, and it simplified it. If finances is causing you the stress, can you reevaluate your budget and your Christmas expectations to meet your budget? Number 5 is, let's remember that Christ is the reason for the season. I think of the Bible verse that says, his yoke is easy and his burden is light. If we're feeling a burden this time of year from just too much activity, it's gotten too big, it's grown too much, stop and reevaluate what you're doing and how you're doing it, and see if you can make changes to those things using some of the other tips that I have said and are going to add to the rest of this video. Gift giving at this time of the year can put a lot of burden on people if your budget is tight, if finances are, they're just not there for it all. And number 6 is that fear of feeling like you're looking like a Grinch or Scrooge, that you don't want to be doing it, and that's not the point at all. I absolutely love giving my family gifts, and I enjoy doing it all year long. I don't need to have one special day to give my family gifts. And if that is causing stress, how can those expectations be brought down, and how can that be fixed to fit your budget? Maybe it needs to be something that you ask for everybody to bring a Christmas ornament and exchange Christmas ornaments with everybody instead of a gift. Maybe it is food gifts. Maybe you ask people to bake food and different types of breads or snack mixes, or maybe they have a specialty, jams, jellies, and everybody exchanges those with each other. Make it a simpler holiday. Give it a theme. Maybe it's movie night, so people are going to exchange maybe different types of popcorn and different types of beverage powdered drinks that that everybody can enjoy. And maybe it is a DVDs or something like that can be exchanged, and it can fit with the family theme. When it comes to giving gifts to other people, I tend to try to think of things that I can do on a bigger scale that gives me a lot of whatever I have and give small little gifts. I have made things like my own vanilla and put them into little bottles, and then I was able to give everybody that came a bottle of vanilla. I make soap, and so that's very common during the Christmas holidays. If I have people in and out of my house, I'm always handing out bars of soap to people. Anything that you do that can save you money and be something that you can have as a token, as a little gift, that might help ease that stress of not having to have something for everybody. And this last tip is for all the activities and things that are calling your name, groups, churches, whatever, all those things can add a lot. So be picky. Pick and choose. That's number 7. Pick and choose the things that you do and keep it at a minimum. Don't do things just because it's expected of you. If you are always participating in a cookie exchange, and this year you just don't have the time to want to do it, just say, I'm sorry, I can't do that this year. Do the things that will bring you the most enjoyment. Maybe it's taking a drive and looking at all the pretty Christmas lights. Maybe it is baking cookies, but maybe you're only going to bake 1 or 2 types of cookies this year and enjoy the process, and maybe instead of your normal 10 types that you might bake or something like that. Just whatever you do, pick and choose. I know when my children were little, they absolutely loved being part of our church's Christmas program, whatever that was. And that actually required a lot of my time. It required, Sundays they would be practicing. During the week they would have to go back to practice, whatever it was. And so that was the big event, and we would participate in that because it gave my children a lot of memories and made the holiday special. And most other things I would just say no to, in order to reduce my stress level and reduce the expectations that were on me. Maybe it's time to rethink how you do Christmas. It doesn't always have to be what it was, and you can just say, and it's okay to say to your family and to anybody else involved, this is what our Christmas is going to look like this year. And to know that it is all right. We can do that. We have the ability to do that. Okay, you guys, I don't know if any of my tips are going to help you simplify your Christmas or not, or if you have other tips that you could add to this to help me see what you're doing to simplify Christmas, and other people that come and read the comments. It would be nice to know some of the things that you have done to try to simplify your holidays, your holiday season. But I hope what I did share has helped you, give you some ideas and some inspiration for that if you're looking for that. All right, you guys. I hope you have an amazing weekend and week ahead, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye bye.